Right, I'm going to get started in about 1 minute. I am doing a recording just so that anybody who happens to miss it, they registered but couldn't make it. And for those who didn't register because maybe they didn't hear about it or, for whatever reason, they can get the information later on. I'm going to give it a couple more. We had about 50 registrations, so I anticipate, of course, some of those people are not going to be able to make it, but hopefully the rest of whoever registered pops in. If you haven't already, feel free. You're not obligated, but I would love to know in the chat where you're tuning in from. And today we are having a conversation around doula work, more specifically in reference to the community doula program that I run. So I'm going to just start with that. So my name is Ashanti. I am in Waterbury. My office is in Prospect. Just so happens that I found a nice office space that suited my needs there. So sometimes people hear Prospect and they're like, they get confused, especially because I'm on Waterbury Road in Prospect. And they're like, wait, are you in Waterbury or are you in Prospect? No, I'm in Prospect. I am a Waterbury-based doula, though. And that is where I live. That is where I founded my business. My office just happens to be a few minutes over the Waterbury line. That's all. I have been doing birth work since 2015. I wear many hats in the birth field, so I tend to just go by the title of perinatal specialist. I am primarily known for my birth doula work, my postpartum doula work, and my placenta encapsulation work. I am studying midwifery as well. I am a licensed community health worker. I am a certified breastfeeding counselor. Kind of almost anything that you can think of, I have my hands in it somewhere. In 2015, I started my LLC, which is Woman's Choice Perinatal Services. And then a few years later, in 2017, I started the nonprofit, which is Woman's Choice Charitable Association. As of now, Woman's Choice Charitable Association provides two primary programs, one of which is our family pantry, where we provide food and diapers and basic needs items for the community. Of course, there's a heavy focus on serving families. So, of course, that's where the diapers and things come in, and we offer feeding products, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, whatever, whenever we have it available. And then our first and primary program is the Community Doula Program. The Community Doula Program provides pregnancy, birth, postpartum, breastfeeding, childbirth education support for families in the community, pretty much anyone who needs it. However, we have a significantly heavy focus on providing services for Black and BIPOC parents in the community. So I will explain a little bit more about that later on, but I wanted to kind of start off with talking about, well, what is a doula? Before I tell you more about the doula program, you should know what a doula is. So a doula often gets confused with a midwife. Sometimes I'll have people that reach out to me and they're like, oh, do you deliver at home births? And, do you deliver here? And I'm like, I don't deliver anybody. I'm not a medical professional when it comes to the term doula. A doula is a non-medical professional who provides support, education, resources to their clients. So usually we are booked, I would say on average, about halfway through a person's pregnancy. They hire us and we're there to just kind of be their right hand. We are their little resource guide, if you will, providing them with information and education, overall wellness advice and support throughout their pregnancy, learning how to navigate the medical systems and, finding the right providers for them. We are just kind of helping to answer their questions and support them, because when you go to the doctor, I would say probably any doctor's appointment really, but especially if you've been pregnant before, I'm sure you can relate to the fact that you go to your doctor's appointment, right? And you probably wait in the waiting room longer than the amount of time your doctor actually spends with you. You go in, you wait for however long you wait, and then they bring you in, you pee in a cup, they check your blood pressure, the nurse goes, okay, the doctor will be right in. Then you wait another period of time for the doctor to come in. Doctor comes in, they might listen to the baby, they might feel your belly, they might, measure your belly a little bit, and they go, okay, have any questions? Everything looks great. And you feel so rushed at that point that you're like, no, I don't have any questions. Really, you had questions, you completely forgot about them. So you didn't ask, or you didn't have enough time to think about questions, or you don't know what questions you should even be asking. If you've never had a baby before, sometimes you don't know what to even ask. So a doula can kind of help you by coming to you and saying, hey, are you familiar with this? Do you know about this? Do you need information about that? Helping you to learn what you don't even know that you need to know, right? So a doula is somebody that you can call, text, or email in between your prenatal visits, especially to kind of just get anything that you need, helping you to create your birth plan, helping you to understand what you might be able to expect when you go into labor, what to expect when you go to the hospital, if you are giving birth at the hospital, or what's going to happen if you're giving birth at home. Then from there, your doula waits until it's go time. You call your doula, they come to support you, and we stay with you throughout the duration of your labor process until you have the baby. And then we stay for about 1 or 2 hours afterwards, making sure you're nice and situated and settled. And if you're going to be breastfeeding, we try to help you make sure that you get your baby to latch for the first time. And then we usually do a postpartum follow-up with you after, anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks after you give birth. That is, in a nutshell, what a doula will provide to you. Doula work, however, is very demanding work. People, and not to say that it's not a beautiful thing. I've been doing it for 8 years. I wouldn't want to really be doing anything else. I love the work that I do, but it's not easy work to do. A lot of people see doula work and they're like, oh, you get to see all the little babies, you get to hold the babies. Like, doula work is not about holding the babies. In fact, it's more about holding the mother and the birther. You're there to support them. The baby, if you get to hold the baby, that's a bonus. I personally never even ask my clients if I can hold their baby, unless we have a different relationship. You'll have different relationships with each of your clients. And some of my clients, we become like sisters. And when I go over there, I'm like, give me my baby, give me that little baby. But most of the time, I will just sit there and I'm talking to the client and I'm supporting them with what they need. And if they ask me if I would like to hold their baby, I'm like, yes, I want to hold that baby. Give me that little baby. But doula work is not all about holding babies. And it's hard work. It's hard work. A lot of the times people don't see some of the difficult stuff. So for one, you have to be able to be on call, because labor happens when it happens, right? It might be in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., your water breaks, or, you could be at your kid's birthday party and oops, somebody's going into labor. It could be a holiday. It could be whatever. You have to be able to stop whatever it is that you're doing in that moment. You have to be willing to cancel plans and postpone trips and things with people that you care about. When people invite me to stuff, and I can guarantee you any other birth worker or doula, midwife, anybody will tell you, this is the line that everybody knows: as long as I'm not at a birth. Like, I can never make a solid plan with somebody unless I know for sure I don't have any clients due for that particular month or a couple months, like I take a little break or whatever. But that's what I tell people. And they're like, oh, you want to come to this? And I'm like, as long as I'm not at a birth, as long as I don't get called, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It takes a toll on your life because it's difficult to make commitments to do things. And if you have children, I have 6 kids. But I'm blessed enough to have solid childcare. You have to have solid childcare in order to be able to do this work if you have children. Because again, you have to be able to pick up and go at 3 a.m. if that's the time that you get called. And that means if you don't have a partner, husband, spouse, whoever that is also within your house that you can just get up and go and somebody's automatically going to be there with your kids, you need to call in a babysitter. You have to have a babysitter that's going to be willing to get called at 3 a.m. and, come fairly quickly over to your house so that they can watch your kids. You don't want to have to be waking your kids up at 3 a.m. to get them dressed and drop them off to somebody. You want somebody who can come and, you don't have to worry about anything. Otherwise, you have to have bags packed for your kids. And it's not easy. It's not easy. In addition to that, you don't know how long a birth is going to take. On average, I just already plan to spend at least 12 hours at a birth with somebody. And it's not easy to sometimes just pick up and be able to be gone for 12 hours. The average person works an 8-hour work shift. So 4 more hours might not sound like a huge deal, but depending on what time of the day or night that is, it's difficult to be gone for 12 hours. It's not super easy. In addition to that, you have some of the, sad parts of doula work. Not all babies live. Not all birthing people and mothers live through their experience either. Sometimes you have clients or their baby that pass away. And that's something that you have to be prepared for in this work as well. In the hospital system, sometimes you have people, especially underserved communities, BIPOC communities especially, who are being mistreated. They're not getting, equitable care in these hospital spaces sometimes, and you have to sometimes bear witness to that, and it's frustrating. And then you're working with people during such an intimate time in their life, and you have to remember, as somebody who's supporting them through this whole journey, they've built this trust with you, right? They're going to come to you about stuff that has nothing to do with your doula work with them directly necessarily, right? And so sometimes you're almost playing therapist too. They're going to tell you sometimes about their relationship problems. They're going to tell you about their financial problems sometimes. And even if you're not in the position to really give advice, we're not therapists, so don't go beyond your scope. But, you will have to give a listening ear sometimes. And that's hard to support somebody and that they're struggling through certain things. And especially when you can't really help them with that. So you have to have a lot of resources. You have to know other professionals that you can direct them to, therapists and different things to provide them with support. But other than all of that, it's a really wonderful job. It's very rewarding. A lot of jobs when it comes to healthcare, although we're not medical professionals, we are still in a sense a healthcare professional. It's not easy, but it's very rewarding serving and supporting these people during such an intimate time in their life. So why is it important for someone to have a doula? It's very important for people to have doulas, especially people who are in higher risk categories, people who are in underserved communities, disadvantaged communities, and especially people of color, especially Black individuals. Because we have the statistics that show that Black women, Black birthers are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during pregnancy, childbirth, and or the first year postpartum in comparison to white people who are giving birth. 3 to 4 times more likely. And that goes for the women and the infants. The mortality rate between the two are both significantly higher for Black individuals than it is for their white counterparts. That is just a fact. It is a proven fact. Now, why is it important for me to have the program that I have in Waterbury? For those who are in Connecticut, especially in Waterbury, you may not know some of the statistics here. Waterbury, as you know, little as we are over here, Waterbury actually has the highest live birth rate in the state of Connecticut. We birth the most babies in the whole state, right here in Waterbury. Who would have thought? When I first learned that, I was like, seriously? It's kind of wild to think that. So if Black women and infants are dying at 3 times higher rate than white people are, what does that mean if Waterbury has the highest birth rate in the state? That means we also have the highest infant and maternal mortality rate for the Black community in the state as well. So think about that. Now, also in Waterbury, you should know that up to 15 or so percent of Black and brown, and so that includes, the Hispanic community, are receiving either no prenatal care at all or late onset prenatal care. Both of those things automatically lead to our infant and maternal mortality rates, because when we're not receiving prenatal care or we're not receiving prenatal care in a timely fashion, then things can go wrong. We're not being monitored for risk factors, high blood pressure, which is one of the most common things that affect people in the Black community when they're giving birth, is high blood pressure, diabetes, just other chronic illnesses and things that can come up during pregnancy that are not being addressed at all or not being addressed early enough. So that in itself is an issue. Access to health insurance, access to providers who are accepting the medical insurance, or, they're booked up because it's so many people giving birth and there's a delay in getting the care. I don't have the exact numbers, but there was something that I read somewhere that in the BIPOC community, they are less likely to receive care within the first 8 weeks of their pregnancy, whereas in the white community, white individuals are more likely to receive care within the first 6 weeks. I don't have the numbers around that right in front of me, but it's just very interesting. So some of the statistics around having a doula. Why don't I have that in front of me either? Let me see if I can pull it up in my Canva for you. I want to give you some of the exact numbers. I was trying to figure out how to screen share. I'm learning this new video system that I'm using on my website. So let me just pull this up for you really quickly. And I want to give you the numbers, right? So if you have a doula, there is a 39% decrease in risk of having a cesarean section. There is a 15% increase in likelihood of spontaneous or just naturally occurring vaginal birth. There is a 10% decrease in the use of any pain medications for relief. Shorter labor. There is a 38% decrease in the baby's risk of a low 5-minute APGAR score. So APGAR score, for those who are not familiar with what that is a scoring system that is used when your baby is first born. And they do it at, I believe, 1 minute, 3 minutes, and 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off by one of those numbers. It's maybe 1, 5, and 10, or somewhere around there. But within the first 10 minutes of the baby's life, they score your baby. And they score them on how they respond after they're born, like how quickly do they cry and so forth. So does your baby need help to breathe after they're born or not? So your baby has a better APGAR score after birth. 31% decrease in the risk of being dissatisfied with their birth experience. Those are some pretty significant numbers. And they're especially significant in communities like Waterbury, where if you go look at public records for for example, Waterbury Hospital, the cesarean rates are terrible. And it's not to bash Waterbury Hospital in general, but just to say the cesarean rate is like 30 something percent. That's a lot of people having a C-section. It's a lot of people. And a lot of times it can be avoided. A lot of times they're not necessary. And their induction rate is also significantly high. An induction, for those who are not familiar with the term, is basically artificially or manually starting someone's labor. Now, this is offered to a lot of people without any real medical reason. Once they hit 39 weeks, a lot of the times the providers are like, hey, you want to just go ahead and get this baby out now? We can give you an induction. And that sounds so great to a lot of people who are at the end of their pregnancy and just tired of being pregnant. They're like, they don't see anything wrong with it. If their doctor is offering it to them, why would it be bad? That's why we need doulas, to help encourage people to make informed decisions. So as long as someone is educated and they make these choices on their own, and they say, yes, I know the risks and I know the benefits, and I'm choosing to go ahead and do X, Y, or Z, that's fine. That's your choice. A doula is not going to make decisions for you. A doula is not going to tell you like, no, you shouldn't do that. Whereas instead, a doula is going to say, okay, here's what's being presented to you. Here are the risks. Here are the benefits. We're going to give you both sides, unbiased information, so that you can then make a decision that feels right for you. Unfortunately, sometimes in, the medical systems, providers are not going to give you both sides of the information. They're going to be like, hey, yeah, you should just do this. And yeah, it's fine. One size doesn't fit all. And by not disclosing all of the information with you, they take away your right. They take away your right to making an informed decision because they're not giving you all of the information. A lot of times in the hospitals, when you're going to give birth, it's kind of like I tell my clients, it's like a don't ask, don't tell system. If you don't ask for an alternative or you don't ask for anything different, they're not going to tell you that there is a different option, because this is a system, right? A system that is kind of set up for ease of work for the staff, the providers, the nurses, whoever. It's a system, which I get. But at the same time, that's why it's important for you to go in and be educated and know what's available to you. Sometimes you might go into the hospital and you might want some pain relief, but you don't necessarily want the epidural. If you don't know about other pain relief options that are available, I can't tell you how many births I've gone to, and the only thing that my clients were offered, like, if you want something for pain relief, then, we can bring you the epidural. And they're like, well, I don't really want the epidural. And they're like, well, I don't know. Whereas my clients are educated and they go, yeah, I would like some Stadol for some pain relief. And the nurses are like, oh, you want to do the Stadol? You don't want to just get the epidural? No, I want to do some Stadol. Stadol is an injection. So sometimes they do it one way. Sometimes they do into the muscle and into the IV. Some of them just put it into the IV. But either way, it's it's an IV medication, and it can help offer you some pain relief and give you a little nap usually and help you kind of feel a little bit refreshed. So you can go on throughout the labor process and you don't have to necessarily have the epidural. And a lot of people don't know about that because a lot of people are not offered that. So your doula is going to help you be educated about all of the different options and things that are available to you. They're going to help you learn how to advocate for yourself, right? And decline things that you don't want. A lot of people are talked into things sometimes during their birth because they don't know that they can say no to their provider. We need to shift this mindset that our provider is in charge. Generally speaking, does our provider, know a little bit more sometimes and they have our best interests at heart? Yeah, I'd like to think so, right? But at the same time, our providers are not our bosses. They actually work for us. If you think about it, we are paying them, whether it's through our insurance, whether it's out of pocket, whatever, we pay them to do a job for us. So yes, we want to trust that because we've hired them essentially, right? That they're going to do the best job for us. But that doesn't mean that if they say something that they're trying to get you to do something and you're like, yeah, I don't really like that option. You can say you don't like that option. You can say, yeah, no, you can ask questions. Oh, we want to induce you at 39 weeks. Why would you like to induce me at 39 weeks? Is there a medical problem with myself? Is there something going on with the baby that can negatively affect the pregnancy to go any further than 39 weeks? What is the reasoning behind me needing to be induced? You can take that information and you can decline. Think about when you go to the hospital, when you have someone who is, they have a medical condition or whatever, and they stop breathing. They can have in their chart DNR, do not resuscitate. And the providers absolutely have to back off and just let you do whatever your body is going to do or not do, right? Because even if you're dying, you have the right to tell somebody, nope, don't save my life. That's just how it is, right? They work for you. So you have every right to say, no, I don't want that. You have every right to switch your provider if you're not happy. And this is something that a doula is going to help you understand and help you find your voice. Now, your doula is not, most doulas, you're not going to go into the birthing space and talk for your client and say, my client said she didn't want that. Nope, my client doesn't want this. We're not your lawyer. But sometimes we may remember your birth plan and we may hear, okay, the provider's coming in and they want to do something that we know that the client didn't want. So I may then say, hey, Jennifer, do you understand what it is that your provider is wanting to do? Do you understand this procedure? I do remember that this is something that you had in your birth plan that initially you were against. How do you feel about that in this moment now? Are you okay with what your provider is suggesting, or would you like to ask some questions? Would you like to decline this procedure? And I'm talking to my client and basically opening up that door and giving them the space to feel confident and say, no, I actually don't want that. Like, what else can we do first before going to this? And then it kind of helps my client have that confidence to speak up for themselves, right? So your doula is going to have your back. We're going to support you. We're going to look out for you. We're going to try our best to ensure that you're treated fairly and that you have a voice in the birth space and that your rights are being protected. We cannot always guarantee the ideal turnout for your birth experience, but we're going to try our best. We're going to try our best to support you and to help you. When you look at the postpartum period, it gets so left in the dust sometimes. We do all this preparation during pregnancy and everything's pregnancy and the baby, and then postpartum, and it's kind of just like everything just kind of stops. And then we have moms or birthers and, dads and parents that are just kind of left to figure out the rest after the baby comes. Everybody kind of just disappears. And it's just like, the postpartum period is not planned for enough. While you're pregnant, you're planning this baby shower and you're preparing the nursery, and everybody's all excited and people are getting you gifts, and you're planning for the birth experience and you're packing your hospital bag and you're doing all of this, but you haven't prepared for the postpartum. Who's coming to help you afterwards? Do you have anybody to come give you a little bit of a break? Do you have friends or family members who maybe are going to offer to come by and bring some food for you? Maybe help you with a little bit of your laundry or some house cleaning so that you can actually rest. Too many of us are having a baby and the day after we get home from the hospital, we're up in the kitchen doing dishes and making lunch for the other little kids. Like, if you don't I know that not everybody has that support. And so this is not like an entitlement type of thing. But for those who do have some people around them, we need to do better at supporting each other during that time. People who just gave birth should be just laying down and bonding with their baby, especially if you're breastfeeding, building that breastfeeding relationship. Like, you should be laid up in bed or on the couch with your feet up and just holding your baby. People should be bringing you food and just catering to you. You shouldn't have to get up unless you need to use the bathroom, shower, eat, whatever. You should not have to be doing anything else. And so it's important that we try to rebuild these villages. All of the people who came to your baby shower, where are they? And if they're not going to be around to support you after, then maybe they're not the right people to be in your life. You're going to spend all this money and all these resources to have this big grand baby shower, and then after you have the baby, everybody's just gone. So your doula can also the sound issue. That's weird. I am recording too, so everybody will have access to the recording afterwards. So if for some reason you're having trouble hearing in some spot, you can just play back if you kind of just take note of the time. We're 32 minutes into it. So yeah, you'll have access to the recording if you want the information again later to watch it. But having a doula, we're going to come in and we're going to check on you. A lot of the times now, this is changing a little bit now, where providers are now starting to see their patients at about 2 weeks postpartum, whereas generally it used to be a 6-week follow-up. They are still seeing people at 6 weeks, but now they're realizing that it's super important to see moms and birthers a little bit sooner than the 6 weeks, because usually if a mom is going to have some baby blues, right, that'll happen, within the first 2 or 3-ish weeks. And by then it should be subsiding, right? It should be subsiding a little bit and getting better by week 3 or 4. If at week 3 or 4, things are not getting better, or if they're getting worse, by the time you get to 6 weeks, you're probably already in the trenches. It's important to have someone who is going to be able to see you sooner, so that if things are feeling a little bit rocky, we can go, okay, yeah, you need to make a call to your doctor, because sometimes people just don't know. People don't know that they're depressed sometimes. People don't know that this is common but not normal, what they're experiencing. They may go, oh, yeah, I just thought I was emotional because, I just had a baby. Yeah, you might be a little bit emotional, but having a doula that can come in postpartum and come check on you before you probably even see your doctor can be really important. It can be life-saving for some people. So a doula is so important for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's your first baby. I mean, like I mentioned before, I have 6 kids, and I even had a doula with baby number 5 and 6. Like, even as a doula myself, it was important to me to have somebody that was going to be able to support me if I needed it. So it doesn't matter how many children you have. Every pregnancy is different too, right? You might experience something with the first that you don't experience with the second, or vice versa. It never hurts to have a doula. And it doesn't matter where you're giving birth. It doesn't matter if you're planning to have an epidural and you're like, nope, I do not want to feel anything. I want an epidural. A doula is going to provide you with physical comfort techniques and measures during your labor. If you so choose to have a natural birth with no medication, sure. But a doula, we're going to support whoever, because it's not only about the physical, it's about the knowledge as well. And that education aspect in the birth room, and being able to say, okay, do you understand this? Are you okay with this? Do you need more information? How can we be there to just kind of help you? And sometimes it's just being there, just your presence and knowing that somebody's there for you helps somebody so much to get through something. It's like when you're sad and you're crying and you don't want to talk about what's going on, but somebody that's just going to sit next to you and be like, it's all right. Or like, maybe it's not all right, but you know what I'm saying? Like somebody that's just going to be there just because we have your best interests at heart and we want to be able to do something for you if you need us. Sometimes that's why people want a doula. They just want somebody else there that is just there without bias, right? So a doula is for anybody. Even if you're having a planned cesarean. Some people are like, oh yeah, but I'm having a C-section because I have okay, that's fine. But you're still going to need information to know what to expect during that C-section. Have you ever had a C-section before? Well, if not, you might want to get a doula, because they're going to help educate you on that process. They're going to help you prepare for what to expect after you have a C-section. Is your doctor, does your doctor have some responsibility in maybe trying to help you with some of that information? Sure. But how realistic is it that your doctor is actually going to sit there and spend a lot of time with you to give you all of that information? Not very, very likely. They're going to give you a little bit. Yeah, here's some papers and some handouts. You can go read those, but you need a doula. Okay. So the community doula program. The community doula program is funded by grants. So as of this exact moment, we don't have any funding to provide services for any families just yet. We are in the middle of grant round decision making, and actually we should be hearing something back starting within the first week of March, I'm hoping. But right now, our focus is bringing on some community doulas to help provide the services, because if we have money to provide services, we still can't provide the services if we don't have the doulas. So I had a couple of doulas last year, and now we need to grow. Those doulas have pretty much moved on to other things, and so now it's just me. So thanks to a wonderful partnership with Trinity Health of New England, they have sponsored the funds for me to go ahead and train and bring on 3 doulas for my program. Now, there is a pre-screening that you will get by email automatically as soon as this webinar is over, and you can choose to fill out the pre-screening. I will be very transparent here. My work is super focused in serving the Black community. This means we want more doulas and providers that look like us, because a lot of the time, the OBs and the delivering midwives and doctors and nurses, they are not Black. They are not from the BIPOC community. So being able to have a doula who's going to support you that is also from the community and the culture that you're from is very important. I will say, I am not completely taking anyone out of the running if you are not identifying as a BIPOC individual. If you are truly interested, it is more important to me to have someone who is committed to the work and truly understanding that, hey, this is our focus. So just be ready to be uncomfortable if you are someone who has trouble talking about racial issues, because it gets real serious. So do not be discouraged from applying if you are really, truly interested. Because we have some BIPOC individuals who are they simply just not going to be a good doula. And I'd rather have someone who is not from the BIPOC community, who's going to be an excellent doula, than to have someone who is from the BIPOC community and who's going to half-ass the job. I'm just going to be honest, okay? But it is my goal to try to bring on 2 who identify as Black and 1 who, whatever you identify as, who speak Spanish, because we do have a large Hispanic community here, and I would like to be able to provide some more services in another language that is one of the primary languages here in Waterbury outside of English. So that's where I'm starting. However, I do offer doula training, outside of the community doula program, for anybody who's just interested in the work in general and becoming a doula. If you are interested in just being a doula, period, even if it's not with the community doula program, you can reach out to me. If you're registered here, clearly you went to my website and registered, so you can go to the contact section of my website and just send me a message. My doula training is available online. It's self-paced. You can do it at your own time, right on your computer, even on the app on your phone. You can do that, and you can come mentor with me in person if you are local. Just connect with me if you're interested in doing any of this work. We will also be looking for some postpartum doulas. So even if you don't get accepted for the funded training, you can take my other trainings and still become part of the community doula program at some point. You just won't be someone who got the sponsored training. So what Trinity Health is sponsoring is a full training with me, which includes birth doula training, postpartum doula training, placenta encapsulation training, in addition to 3 months of direct mentorship under me to get experience and knowledge and everything else in addition to those trainings. With that, you will also, since you'll be working as a community doula, this is a community organization, which means that you will be eligible for me to write off hours if you're interested in becoming a licensed community health worker as well. So there are a lot of benefits. The training is being offered completely for free. The value is $2,000 for this training. There will be some agreements that you have to make in order to be part of the program. And there will be some financial responsibility for yourself for certain things, because you will be trained, but you will work under my program as an independent contractor. So you will basically, have your own business essentially, and you will be responsible for filing taxes next year with whatever money you earn from us. You will be responsible for obtaining and maintaining your own business insurance, liability insurance, because you're going to be going into hospitals, you might be going into people's homes, whatever else. So you will have to invest a few $100s for your own stuff, maybe your books for some of your training. I do have books that people can borrow if they're coming to train from me. So, but just to say, you will have some sort of financial expense. Just roughly plan on maybe about $300 to $500 within the first few months. But as a community doula, you are paid. You are paid for each client that you take, and we pay $1,000 per client. That's generally 2 prenatal visits, the birth, and then a postpartum follow-up. So $1,000 of payment for each client that you take. And we generally can guarantee somewhere at least like 3 to 5 clients for like a 12-month period, but it may be more depending on the funding that we get. But, it's free training. You can then use your certifications that you get to take private clients as a doula. Of course, there will be some stipulations with that, like non-compete agreements and whatever else, but that will be discussed further. Filling out the pre-screening is basically just showing us your interest. And then from the pre-screening, we'll go ahead and invite you to fill out the actual application. And then we'll go through applications, we'll select candidates, and then we'll go forward and do an interview process. And then we will select our 3 candidates from the interview process and go forward and have the orientation, which will give you all of the final details that you need to know and get you onboarded. And then we're looking at training happening sometime in May. So this will be like, a step-by-step process, with this kind of just being step one. Wanted to have this community conversation to just share with people what is a doula and what do we do. A lot of people don't even know about doulas, and a lot of people in Waterbury don't know that we have this program here. So I really just want to spread the word and let people know that this is here. The community doula program offers the services completely for free. We will be working in close proximity with Dr. Albini's office, and he is with Trinity Health, working out of St. Mary's Hospital. So there will be more of a direct partnership, and we'll be kind of serving his patients for the most part. But with other funding that we may get from other places, we can kind of, serve whoever, as long as they're giving birth in Waterbury. So if you want more information about that, like I said, you're going to get an email pretty much immediately after this ends. It should be automated, that it should go to you shortly after this video ends. And you will get information on, going to my website and seeing the nonprofit page, so you can just get more information. You'll get the link to the pre-screening, again, that you can fill out if you're interested. And right now, my doula training, the self-paced doula training, is on sale for $350. There are payment plans available as well. So if you want to just take a training, postpartum doula training is on sale for $50. $50. And it's never going to get better than that. It generally costs $400. It's on sale because I'm celebrating 8 years in business for the month of February. So that's only going to be on sale for 3 more days. So if you're interested in that, go do it. If you're interested in doula work and you're not sure that you can commit to that because of the, you have to be on call, start with postpartum training. That's one of the best places to start for people who are like, I don't really have that ability to get up and go at 3 a.m. You can make postpartum training however you want to make it, because it's not on call. They've already had the baby. So everything is scheduled, and you make your business how you want it. And you tell people, so some postpartum doulas are like, I only do overnights. Whereas me, I'm like, I want to be in my bed at night. So I don't do overnights as a postpartum doula. If I offer postpartum, it's during the day, and I do them in 2-hour blocks. You can book me from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. to come in and help you with whatever you need help with, making you some meals. I'll hold the baby while you go shower and eat or something. Talk to them about their healing and their wellness and how they're feeling, helping support them with breastfeeding, whatever it might be that they need help with after they've given birth. But it's all scheduled. So I definitely would say, if you want to get into this work, but you're not sure you can commit to being on call and whatever else, start with postpartum work. It's a great way to get started. And like I said, I will be looking to have some more postpartum doulas that can support the community doula program once we have more funding. So, even if this sponsored training is not something that you can take advantage of right now, or, it's probably going to be a very tight selection. We're only going to be able to pick 3 people. So if you don't get selected and you want to do this work, you can, if you have the finances to do so, you can enroll in the training. And those who take my training who are local can be considered, for a position within the community doula program as opportunities and more funding becomes available to serve the community. So we have about 10 minutes left. We don't have to use the entire hour, but this is the time that I have set aside, the last 10 minutes, for anyone to utilize the chat to ask any questions that you might have. They can be questions about doula work, can be questions about doula services, receiving the services, or even just any opinions or thoughts or experiences that you may have had. If you learned anything new that you didn't know about, I would love to hear from you. Information on my site about postpartum doula. So if you go to my website, which is womanschoiceperinatal.com, you will see a tab at the top that says trainings. And when you click on that, you'll see all of my trainings, and you can just click on it and you can click enroll. You can pay your $50. If anybody wants a payment program, a payment plan for any of those programs, all you have to do is when you add it to your cart and you go to check out, there's a program that's called Sezzle. And Sezzle is a payment processing system that will break your costs down into 4 biweekly payments. So if you're going to spend $100 today, for example, you're going to spend $25 today. In 2 weeks, you pay $25. In 2 weeks, you pay $25. In 2 weeks, you pay another $25. There's no interest. There's no credit check. There's nothing. It's just, it allows you to break your payments down to make it more affordable for people. How receptive are the providers in the area to doulas being present at births? So in Waterbury, they've been pretty receptive because, to be honest, and that was something that I didn't mention, I'm pretty much the only doula out here in Waterbury. We have doulas who are who serve Waterbury, but they generally come from other areas and happen to have a client that's giving birth here. But as far as like living here and serving here, whatever, I'm pretty much it. So a lot of the providers know who I am. And I'm very professional. I do my job and I stay out of the way. I don't cause confrontations with providers. I do my best to, work alongside of the providers as a team, and they've been very receptive to me. And it is our hope that with this new partnership with Trinity Health, that they see this is really important to recognize that doulas are an important part of the team, and that we're not there to cause problems and whatever else. So as of right now, they've been pretty receptive, and we hope that that will just continue to get better with more education and more community conversations like this. Yeah, postpartum depression is serious. It's serious, and it's nice to have somebody who can recognize things before they get bad, or even if they do get bad, and to just have somebody there to support you and say, look, it's okay to need help. It's okay to, if you have to take medication sometimes. Postpartum depression isn't really it's not anybody's fault. Postpartum depression is mostly due to hormones. Anybody can have postpartum depression, and that's what we need to, I can have a whole nother conversation on this, but sometimes in certain cultures, like even in the Black community, they'll be like, what are you depressed for? You just had a baby. Like, you're not depressed. You just blah, 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 or whatever. And people don't understand. It's not about what you have. It's even my husband one time, there was some celebrity. I don't remember who it was, but she said she had postpartum depression. He was like, she got all that money. What she's depressed about? And I'm like, it's not about that. Like, it has nothing to do with that. She has help. She probably had a nanny, a house cleaner, all of the above. But a lot of it is just hormones. It's just the drop in hormones that, causes that. But then, of course, you have other environmental factors that can contribute to that, such as, if you're having financial struggles or relationship struggles, whatever, that can definitely add to it, or, whatever else. But yeah, postpartum depression can happen to anybody. See, I'm currently taking a certification class for birth, postpartum, and lactation consultant. Would I be able to contact you after I'm certified? Yeah, so you can definitely contact me. What I was thinking for people who are already certified or trained elsewhere, what I would probably require is some sort of mentorship with me, because it's very, like, I take my work very personally. And I like to train people in the way that I want them to everybody's going to have their own personality, right? But generally speaking, if I'm going to send somebody a client, I want that client to receive the same level of care or very similar that I know I would give them if I was their doula. So all of my doulas that I send out, I want to know confidently that when I send them out there, that client is going to be well taken care of. And every doula training and, has different philosophies and different things. So I would probably want you to either do like some sort of mentoring with me, or possibly do like a cross training where like I give you access to my course for a super discounted rate, just so you can get some of my training as well. But definitely reach out to me, because, you know, and especially for breastfeeding, we definitely want some more support with our breastfeeding clinics and things like that. So send me a message or an email, because you know, I definitely want to have more people in this area that are doing this work. I know you mentioned a partnership with Dr. Albini for now. Was wondering about births outside of the hospital in general. Is that something you and your team would attend or assist with? So yes, this year is actually going to be the first year that we have this partnership with like Dr. Albini and Trinity Health and directly into the hospital systems. Prior to this year, funding that we received, it just so happened that a large majority, most of the population in Waterbury who are giving birth in Waterbury are having birth at the hospital. Honestly, in my 8 years of doing doula work, I have never attended a home birth in Waterbury. I know people have them from time to time, but it's not super common, or, you know, but with that being said, absolutely, we will go to a client and offer them the services wherever it is that they're giving birth, as long as it's in Waterbury, because the funding that we get is generally for Waterbury because of where we get the funding from. Most of our funding comes from Connecticut Community Foundation, but yeah, it can be for Waterbury Hospital, St. Mary's Hospital, or at your house, in your bathtub, in your living room, wherever. Our team will definitely support. And we like to encourage more people to, even if they don't have a home birth, but to just kind of learn more about them and take some of that taboo out of the idea of giving birth at home. Because like I said, I'm doing midwifery studies as well. And it is a goal of mine to become a home birth midwife at some point in the next couple of years. And I really want people to know that midwives are highly trained professionals who are equipped to handle emergencies, and home births can be extremely safe and satisfying for people with low risk pregnancies. So absolutely, we support home births and encourage people to look into it more. All right, we have like 2 minutes left. Anybody have any final questions or just commentary, thoughts, anything before we go? I'm going to probably, I don't think I've set dates yet, but I'm going to send blasts out through email and social media and all over the place about the pre-screening along with this recording. And I'm probably going to say that the pre-screening will be open until the end of the first week of March. And then between week 2 and 3 of March, we will go through the pre-screens and invite people to do the applications. We'll close the applications by the 3rd week of March. And then we'll probably do the interviewing process around the 4th week of March. And then have a goal of setting up the orientation for like sometime in the 2nd week of April, getting everybody all of the information that they need to get onboarded. And then probably the 1st week or so of May, because that is when I will finally be off call. I have my final clients due to give birth at the end of April. And from there, I don't have any more clients on my calendar until further notice. So I will probably be doing the doula trainings in the beginning of May. So that's just good information to know for those of you who are not going to get into the sponsorship program. But if you want to still take doula training, you can, if you're able to financially pay for it out of your pocket, then you can come to that doula training workshop, because generally it's self-paced, it's all online. But for those who are coming to train for the community doula program, I will be doing in-person workshops. So I'll send out more emails. Just make sure you're subscribed on my website so that you don't miss any updates or that you're following the Facebook page. But I don't know if this automatically cuts off after the 1 hour is up, so we have a few seconds left. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to join and get this information. If you need anything, just find me on my website. I look forward to hearing from some of you soon, and you will get an email right after this is done with the next steps and how you can reach me. And everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Oh, it didn't cut off. Yay. Okay. Well, thank you again anyway for being here. I appreciate you all. Go to the website. You'll find information on how to support the work as well, because there are a lot of stuff, a lot of things that are going to be coming up as far as like fundraisers and just community offerings, community baby showers, and community surveying. Like, please get involved. Please get involved and just share with people that you know. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I will look forward to seeing you guys at some of the events and other offerings.